So you're in? YouTube link works. Okay, cool. Can you chat? Okay lah, we'll use the YouTube first. Yep. Okay. Um, my sincere apologies to everybody right now. What I've done is I've actually created a webinar, um, but there were some technical difficulties, so I apologize for that. I think we're back on. I think we're back on track now. So let me just let me just get some people on board. I'm gonna put this on Facebook Live as well. Okay. So I'm going to put this on Facebook Live as well. All right. Okay, guys. All right. So we're live right now. I'm not sure. Some of you could be watching this on Google Live. Some of you could be watching this on Facebook Live, and some of you could be watching this on Webinar Jam Studio. So, for those of you who are here, and for those of you who can interact with me on the chat or in the comments, please do. And I'm going to get started right now. So, as part of this entire process, I'm actually documenting this process. First of all, I'd like to apologize for all the technical difficulties for all those of you who are on the webinar. If you want to see the slides and you're on Facebook Live, all you need to do is go to the link, go to the YouTube link or go to the Zoom link, and you'll be able to see the slides, right? So today's webinar is called Street Smart Business Academy. And really what we're going to do is we're going to share with you the 5 steps to your first profitable business. But before we even share with you those 5 steps, what I want to do is I want to make you aware of some of the pitfalls that most new entrepreneurs make. Okay, so let's begin. As most of you know, this is a webinar, and for you to get the most out of today's webinar, we're going to need to set some ground rules. I'm going to give you something absolutely special at the end of the webinar, and all you need to do is stay till the end. I'm going to give you really something that will jumpstart and accelerate the start of you getting your business up and getting profits quickly. Okay, but what I need from you is you need to play full out. As you can imagine, I'm here alone in an empty office, and I'm going to need some energy from you if I'm going to give you my best. So, would it be okay, whether you're on Facebook Live or whether you're on Zoom or whether you're on YouTube, if you gave me some energy by participating? Would that be okay? Fantastic. Right. The next thing I'd love all of you to do is if you want to learn precisely and actually have it give you a result, I'd like you to give me your undivided attention. So turn off all your phones and close all your other tabs so you don't get distracted, because information I'm going to give you over the next 90 minutes is as good as gold. Okay. The other thing I'd love for all of you to do is if you're watching this live, if you're watching the webinar, in order for you to, I want you to understand and be conscious that everything you've learned so far has got you to where you are now. And if you want to make a change, if you want a change in results, what you're going to need to do is to leave all your old learnings, all your old programming, all your old experiences, leave them at the door, and then try my clothes on for a while, try my learnings, and try my programming for a while. And I promise you, if you don't like them, at the end of the 90 minutes you can take your old learnings back and go back to how you were. But at least for these next 90 minutes, the what I ask of you is to leave your old learnings at the door and learn something new with me today. Now, for a lot of you who are on this webinar now, and for those of you who are staying, the reason why you're here is because you want to make a change. I want you to know that you're here to listen, to be informed, so that you can make better decisions and so you can take action. Because action is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Everything that happens in your mind, everything that happens in theory, only becomes reality when you take action. Does that make sense? Yes or no, guys? Right? So that's what I'd love for all of you to do. And the next thing I'd like you to do is think about what you would like to learn over the next 90 minutes. Okay? So here are some questions that I want you guys to think about today while you're on this webinar. The first thing I want you to think about is what made you decide to come for today's webinar. Okay, and then the other thing I want you to think about is what is the result that you're after. So we're going to be spending 90 minutes together, and this is something that I realize a lot of people don't have and they don't understand, is that before you even think about how you're going to do something, you need to understand strategically what your objective is. And when you understand what your objective is, the how, there are so many different hows to get there. For example, if you want to get to Kuala Lumpur, there are many ways to get there. You can go by plane, you can go by car, you can go by train, you can walk if you want to. But until you know what your destination is, the mode of transportation is moot. It doesn't matter. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to think about what made you decide to come today onto the webinar and what result you're after. Okay? All right, so let's move on. So here are some questions that I have for you today, right? The first thing is, why should I start a business? For a lot of you, you're actually right now in a job. And for the way I see it, I think having just one strategy to earn your income, which is employment income, exchanging your time for money, is probably the most risky thing that you could do. Because what that means is you have a table and your table is standing on just one leg, right? And when your table is standing on one leg and that leg is chopped off, you're done, right? So what I always like to do is always like to make sure that I've got multiple streams of income, whether it's employment income where I'm exchanging time for money. Like even though I run a business, I still exchange time for money. I have private coaching clients where I charge by the hour, right? So that's also employment or self-employment income. I have business income that comes in because of the business system that I built. We have investment income that comes in. So if you have multiple sources of income, if one leg gets chopped off, you can still survive on the other two, right? So one of the biggest reasons why you should start a business is this: if you only have one source of income and that's employment, you definitely should start a business, because then if your employment income gets taken away from under you, you can still survive with your business income. Does that make sense, guys? So just let me know in the comments and in the chat box if this is making sense to you, because I need that energy from you, because right now I'm alone in a big office, right? The next thing I want you guys to think about is this. Everything about business, our business is all about risk management. You are always going to get a whole bunch of risk in business. And I want you guys to think about how you can manage your risk. Let me give you an example. If you started, so a lot of people, when they think about the first business that they want to start, they say, "Oh, I want to start a cafe." But what are the risks involved in starting a business like that? One, you've got manpower risk. What if you don't have enough manpower to run your restaurant? Number two, you have inventory risk. What if you buy all that perishable food and you can't sell it? Then you have your fixed cost risk, your capital risk. You have, what if you can't pay your rent? So these are all a lot of different types of risk that you need to think about and you need to manage. All right. Again, for those of you who are on Facebook Live, if you want to see the slides, all you need to do is go to www.tinyurl.com/FAZZOOM. Right. The last question that I want you to ask yourself in terms of starting a business is this: how can I do it more easily? I think not enough people ask themselves this question, because a lot of people think that business has to be there are two ways. One is the type of people that don't know what they don't know, and they think business is easy, anybody could do it. If anybody could do it, everybody would, right? But then there's the other type of people that just don't get started because they think it's difficult. And for those people, I want them to think about, how can I do it more easily? You'll be surprised, because there are even a lot of experienced business owners that don't ask themselves this question. And then they end up being stuck in their business, working hard, waking up early in the morning and sleeping late at night, working their asses off, not knowing that there could be an easier way. Right? So here's today's promise, guys. Today I promise that I'm going to share with you a step-by-step system to creating your first profitable business, so you can do more of what you love and live without sacrifice. How does that sound to you? Um, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you from being frustrated to having a straight line to success, from going around in circles to a straight line to your goals. I'll take you from self-sabotage, which a lot of people don't understand is actually a big problem, and more common than most people think. Because you think, why would I sabotage myself when I'm doing well? But there's so many reasons why you would. So I'm going to take you from self-sabotage to being self-empowered. And finally, I'm going to take you from being envious to being an example for your peers, for your community, and the people around you. How does that sound? Right. So here's what I want to share with all of you, is that for me, I'm lucky enough to have financial independence. I've done this by creating what is known as a freedom business. A freedom business is a business that gives you location independence, that's high profit, that is low competition, that enables you to run your business from anywhere in the world, right? And it gives you the time and money to do what you love, to contribute, to give to your family. And these are the things that I believe are most important, right? Some of you who, if you're on my Facebook, you probably know who I am. But for those of you who are on Google Hangouts and on YouTube, let me share with you who I am, right? And why you should listen to me. My name is Fazil, and over the last 17 years I've been in business. Here's some pictures of me in the media. Here are some pictures of me in the semifinals of regional and local business competitions, and some of my superstar clients. There's even a picture of me in the top right corner. I'm on African Business Review. And I'm not saying all of this to impress you, but really I'm sharing this with you to impress upon you that all of this is possible even though I'm just a normal boy. Here you can see a picture of me when I was 13 or 14, and I went to a normal school. I went to St. Patrick's School. And in fact, my parents weren't business people. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. And I had to learn business by trial and error. How many of you think that if it would be far more difficult and far more expensive to learn business by trial and error? Let me know in the comments and let me know in the chat box. How many of you know that it's a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive to learn business by trial and error, right? And I actually did this for over 15 years and I made barely enough to get by. In fact, I made just enough to survive. Here's a picture of me and my family. It's one of the happiest days of our lives. It's when my sister graduated from university. In fact, if you look at that picture, she's the only graduate in the picture. I went to university, but I didn't graduate. My mom and my dad, as talented as they were, they never got the opportunity to go to university. I want to share with you the first business that I started. The first business that I started was a custom audio CD business, right? I actually back then CDs were actually very expensive. It would cost about $15 per CD. And what I used to do was I would buy blank CDs and I would get my friends and ask them, like, what I would do is I will put in every song that they wanted in the same order, because back then your options were very limited. If you wanted to listen to music, you could either buy an album, so you would listen to only one artist. You could buy a single, which would be cheaper, but there would only be 2 or 3 songs, or you could buy a compilation where you would have no control over the songs that would be on the compilation, and you would have no control over the order. But what I did was I started a business where I would create custom audio CDs where I would put in exactly the right songs in the right order based on the orders that I got, right? And as you can imagine, that business failed after a year or two, right? Because there was what transfer of technology, more people got that technology, and I didn't have that competitive advantage anymore. iPod started to come out, and I went out of business. In fact, I then started a few other businesses, 8 more to be exact, from football events companies to travel companies to training companies. I even started my own club. It was called Grind, and the tagline for the club was called "Come Sexy or Don't Come at All." How many of you like that tagline? Hi, Priscilla, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Right, and so I started 8 other businesses, and all of those businesses failed. And one of those reasons is because I was learning by trial and error. Everything, everything that I did, I went by intuition, and if I got it wrong, I just fixed it. So I was learning a lot by trial and error. And most of these businesses were making just enough to survive, right? In 2012, I started a company called Street Smart University with Imran. But within 1.5 years, we hit rock bottom. And what that meant was we wasted an entire year in a failed partnership. In fact, we lost about $50,000 on that deal. We were broke and in debt. We were working 18-hour days. We had absolutely no freedom. We weren't living on purpose. In fact, Imran left me in that partnership. I don't blame him, because he had very specific outcomes he needed to achieve. I knew that he wouldn't leave me in the lurch, but he needed to take care of business, right? So because he was getting married at the end of that year, and after a while, though, things picked up, right? Well, I'll share more with you about how we got out of that hole. But within the next 18 months, we had actually built a product we dreamt of. It took about 18 months, and it cost us US $60,000. Here's a picture of our launch. You can see there. We have a lot of guests. In fact, we have a Guinness World Record holder for memory, Nishan Kasi Butler, who was one of our speakers at that time. So many people at our launch event, um, but nobody bought. Nobody, not a single person bought. And it really left us asking the question, why? Why is it that nobody bought? Because at that time, I didn't understand the market as deeply as I do now. In fact, I was thinking to myself, there should be absolutely no reason why anybody wouldn't buy. What we were putting out into the market was so valuable. We were giving information away that people would pay thousands of dollars for and we would sell it for anywhere between $49 to $97. And so price-wise, we were definitely much better. And we felt we had a superior product because people could could consume this information, um, like while they were waiting for people, in bite-sized bits. So to me, it was very perplexing why somebody or anybody wouldn't buy a product that I considered superior. But what I didn't realize back then was I didn't understand my market deep enough. Let me give you an example, because I was marketing to everybody and not just one person. I want all of you to think about this. Now, there are a billion people in China, and a lot of people have had this idea. What if I sold everybody in China a toothbrush? I would make $1 billion if everybody just bought one toothbrush from me. But what they don't understand is that they're just trying to market to everybody. What we do now, which is very, very different, is we identify a very specific target market. I can tell you my target right now, and I know them intimately, and that's why we're making a whole lot more money now than we did before. My target market is the entrepreneur, the businessman who's making about $100,000 a year, and he wants to get himself to $500,000 a year, and he doesn't know exactly how to do it. And these are the people I know I can help. And these are the people that when we have our strategy sessions, they understand immediately that I can help them get there. And that's how we make a whole lot more money, because we understand a very specific customer. And that's your first lesson. For those of you who are on the webinar, for those of you who are on the Google Hangout, I want you to understand that you need to market to a very specific person and everybody else who is just like him or her. Okay, so I was on a treadmill. We call it the entrepreneur treadmill. Working hard, starting companies, but really going nowhere. And then I had a revelation. We were $60,000 in debt, and what happened was somebody came to us and he said, I've got a digital marketing need. Could you help me with digital marketing? And at that time, normally we would say, well, I'm focusing on this Street Smart University thing. I really don't want to get detracted from it. And then he said, yeah, well, I'm ready to spend $11,000. And what then do you think we said? He said, of course. So we made our first sale even before the company was incorporated, right? And it took us 6 months to crawl out of that hole where we were $50,000 or $60,000 in debt. Okay. Late last year, then I met Christopher Duncan, and we had a dramatic change in our business. Within 2 weeks of having a conversation, we organized our first event in February. And what happened was we put 42 people in a room, and we generated about $46,000 in sales. I want you guys to know this, because 6 months prior to that, we had spent 6 months to generate $130,000. And then here came this gentleman showing us the exact steps to make $46,000 really in 2.5 weeks. We did a second tour within the next 2 months, and we generated over $150,000 in sales, and that doesn't even include an extra $60,000 in one-on-one sales. So all in all, we did about $250,000 in 2 months, when I would make half that money in in 6 months the year before. So I want you guys to understand that at that point, when I was making only $130,000 in 6 months, I was working within my universe. I was only doing things that within my consciousness. And when Chris came in, what happened was he showed me the exact steps I needed to do, and all I had to do was follow those steps, and we made over $250,000 in 2 months. How many of you, be honest here, if you wanted to start your own business, how many of you would be happy and would be okay with generating $250,000 in 2 months just listening and doing what somebody told you? Let me know in the comments, right? And that was, for us, that was a dramatic change. In fact, after we did our first event and we did $46,000 together, of course, not all that $46,000 is mine. We split it 50-50, but still $23,000 in 2.5 weeks is, how many of you would be happy with that, right? The only difference is we every time he told us to do something, we took massive action. We went 100% all in. I'm that kind of guy. If we're gonna do something, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it all in. We're going to put our 100% into it. Shortly after our event, in fact, when we had dinner that next day, he said to us, he said to Imran and I, "You guys, you did $100,000 last year, and I know I can take you guys to half a mil or even 1 mil. And to work with me one on one is $60,000. We didn't have $60,000 at that point. But what do you think we said? Of course, we said yes. So we spent $60,000 on one-on-one consulting with Chris, and that helped us tremendously. That really took our business and put rocket fuel on it, right? We finally learned the secret to success and actually how to make money. And this is so important, guys, because once you learn how to make money, as in what are the steps you need to take to generate an income, to generate profits, you will never go hungry. It doesn't matter whether you have a job or not, you will actually know how to make money, right? Imagine the freedom that you will feel when you don't need to be employed to generate an income. So that was a revelation to us. For those of you who are on Facebook Live and you want to continue watching the webinar, all you need to go do is go to go to tinyurl.com/FAZZOOM, because my phone's running out of battery and I'm going to turn Facebook Live off now. Okay. So for those of you who are still on, thank you very much. I will make sure that you guys get tremendous value. So we learned the exact process to actually connect to high ticket sales, right? We learned the exact steps needed to fill a room. And finally, we knew the exact elements needed to close customers. If you knew these three things, if all you knew were these three things, you will make money for sure, 100%. Okay. We pieced it all together. After we created success, we systemized it. And the reason why we systemized it is because you need a system that is replicable. In order for you to truly be free, you need to have a system that you follow. And if you follow a system, you follow the steps, what you'll get is you'll get predictable results. Okay? That's what systems deliver. So now, after 17 years, we have a connector business that made us $500,000 in the last 12 months, and it's entrepreneur gold, guys. I promise you guys, I wish somebody had shared this with me when I first started out 17 years ago. Here's a picture, and right now, how we build our business is easy. In fact, most people go out, they do what is known as push marketing, right? They go out, they try to find customers, and what happens is they work so hard. It's like they're hunting. It's like they're jumping into the water with a spear gun trying to catch one fish. Now, perhaps let me offer you a better alternative. What if you could sit by the boardwalk, throw out a fishing rod, and fish would come, and all you needed to do was reel them in? And that's what this picture is about. The way that we do business right now is very different from how a lot of other people do business. What we do is we sit down and people come to us. This is a series of emails that we received from a whole bunch of people within 24 hours, because we were looking for people to partner with us for a new business we wanted to start. Right? Here are some mentors of mine, and I want you to understand as well that we don't get anywhere on our own. We need mentors, because what happens is when you get started, you don't have the information that you need in order to succeed. What happens is you don't know what you don't know. And what mentors do is this: it's like walking through a jungle, and it's late at night, there is no moonlight, there is no light, and you know, or maybe you don't, that there are bear traps around, there are snake pits around, there are hornets nests around. But somebody who's been through that jungle knows exactly where these traps are, and all they need is to hold your hand and tell you, "Hey, don't step there, there's a snake pit. Don't step there, there's a bear trap. Oh, move around here, there's a hornet's nest just above you, be quiet." Now, tell me, guys, on the chat, honestly, would you rather walk through that jungle in the dark all by yourself the first time, Or would you rather have somebody who's been through that jungle hold your hand and tell you exactly what to do and what to avoid? Let me know in the chat box. Right? Exactly. So if I were you, I would much rather, if I were you, I would much rather have somebody share with me exactly where to go, what to do. Does that make sense? Because what happens is it accelerates your success. When you do that, what happens is you're not going to have to make a mistake. You hit a bad trap, then you're out for like 2 months recovering, and then you go back and suddenly you hit a hornet's nest and you're out for 2 months recovering. When you have a mentor, you're somebody that accelerates your success. You get to the other end of the jungle in the fastest way possible, as long as you choose the right mentor. Okay, so here are some of my mentors. The first mentor is Blair Singer. Here's what I learned from him. I learned sales and I learned public speaking from him. All right. The next person I learned from is Greg Tucker. This man is amazing. He teaches forex trading, but as a speaker, what I learned from him is how to sell high ticket at live events. He sells a $20,000 program, and he gets people begging him to buy his $20,000 program. Right. Finally, I've also learned from Andy Harrington. He is probably the top trainer in the whole of the UK. He teaches peak performance and he teaches public speaking. Another man that I love dearly and that I learned from, his name is Joel Bauer, and he's an absolute master at language patterns and marketing. This man, calling him a genius at language patterns would be underestimating him. I also learned peak performance from Tony Robbins. And finally, one of my top mentors is Christopher Duncan. He taught me how to build a freedom business and online funnel marketing. Right now, I'm still learning from him. I'm learning business systems from him. I'm learning state of the art, cutting edge. Okay. And I've spent over 100,000 US dollars learning from the best of the best in the world. And now here's what I do. I teach the best of what I know. I teach people how to do sales. I teach people how to do sales in an easy way, meaning, you don't feel like you're being salesy. When I teach people how to do sales, actually, it feels like they're having a chat, they're having a conversation, and they're having a chat, they're having a conversation, and the sale is the natural progression. Hi, Alex, how are you doing? All right, so moving on. Here's what else I sell. I teach language patterns. I teach closing sequences, high ticket connecting, peak performance business, and business coaching as well. But I remember being just like you guys. I remember sitting in front in a seminar, looking at the trainer and thinking, damn, I wish I was him. I was looking for success. I was looking for financial freedom. And the reason why I tell you this is I need you to know that I need to know where you are in order to serve you. Now, somebody who's been rich all his life probably not understand the circumstances that you are in and what you want to do. But I want you to know that I started from nothing. And so I know what it's like to have nothing and to want to build something that generates you income and gives you freedom. So here's the big problem, guys. Most new businesses fail within the first 18 months. What a lot of people don't tell you is that the ones that do survive generally are owned by people who are not first-time business owners and generally are actually run by people who come from business families. If you've come from a business family, you would have learned the perspectives, the decision-making, the ethics, everything you needed to know to run a successful business from the time you're young. But if you came from an environment where the people around you were employees, then the mindset you have would be of an employee. And that's why most new businesses fail within the first 18 months. My question to you is this: if you want to start a business, did you come from an employee environment, or do you come from a business environment? Because that is something that's going to make all the difference. The other problem is this: most people are learning business from employees. I went to business school, and the person who was teaching me never started a business in his life, right? And finally, I think this is the thing that a lot of people don't get and don't understand because they're so protective of their business idea. But business is not about ideas. Your ideas are worth $0. Ideas are just that, ideas, and they exist in the invisible. Business is all about business model execution, right? So here are the 5 entrepreneur mistakes. Right, the first mistake is people don't have a mentor. I shared with you why it's so important to have a mentor. The next thing is they don't have a system. They don't know exactly what to do at the right time and in the right order. It's like if I gave you a recipe to bake a cake and you did everything I told you in that recipe, you would have a cake. But if you didn't have a recipe and you put the eggs in after you put the batter into the oven, you are not going to get a cake, right? So the one of the biggest mistakes that people have is they don't have a system. And I want to share with you later on at the end of this presentation, I've actually created a system, 5 steps to creating your first profitable business, as well as the support and the environment around it to actually help you make your business profitable. Now, how many of you who are watching right now, let me know in the comments, if I gave you the exact steps, if I gave you the exact system to generate profits for yourself, how many of you would do exactly what I told you to do? How many of you? Right? So the next thing that most people make mistakes about is they want to do it all themselves. Now, I could go into an entire webinar right now about why it's a lot more profitable for you to just focus on the one thing you're good at. But I just want to share with you that way, and this is a very common entrepreneur mistake. Entrepreneurs, like let's say 100% of revenue comes in, they want to look at doing as much as possible to make the biggest proportion of that 100%. My perspective is very different. What I want to do is I want to focus on what I can do the least and yet still be able to generate a high percentage of my income. Basically, it's about cost benefit. It's about leverage, right? Doing a little bit of putting in a little bit of effort by generating a tremendous amount of results. The next big mistake that entrepreneurs make is they create a brand new product. I want you to know that creating a brand new product is probably the worst thing you can do. I did it, and that was what got me into a $60,000 hole, right? And I want to save you the time. I want to save you the money. Don't create a brand new product, because when you create a brand new product, a lot of people say they take 18 months to create a product. And what happens is in that 18 months, you could be making money, but you're not, because you're creating a product. The other thing is you created a product after 18 months, you don't even know whether it's good. That's huge risk, right? And finally, when you've ended up 18 months, you have a product, you're actually already competing with products that are already out in the market, that have already been tested, that have already been iterated, and you're on the back foot immediately. So don't create a brand new product. And there are obviously solutions to that, and I just wanted to share that that's a big mistake. Finally, a lot of people fail because they don't understand their target avatar. I made that same mistake. I didn't understand that single person that would buy my product. In fact, and all I was doing was I was marketing to everybody, because I thought to myself, everybody needs this. Everybody should buy this. Everybody would benefit from this, right? So here's your first profitable business, guys. I'm going to share with you the 5 steps to making your first $5,000 a month. And here's a system I would lay out for you today. Okay. The first step is know your outcome, and here are 5 other steps. I'm not going to share that with you yet. We'll talk about it later. Here's the point. I want you guys to start taking notes. All right. At the end of this, I'm going to ask you what the 5 steps are. And if you can tell me what those 5 steps are, I have a surprise and I have a bonus for all of you. Okay, so here's the thing. The first thing you need to do is you need to know your outcome. This is so important. I could spend years, not years, I could spend hours just sharing with people how they need to understand their strategic objective. Why do you want to start a business? Because why you want to start, the answer to that question will determine what sort of business you should start, right? You need to have a clear vision of what your outcome is going to be like. Let me give you an example. Let's get clear. Let's do this. Can we do a very quick exercise? And I want you guys to spend 1 minute, 30 seconds on each question. Think about what you want to achieve with your business and what does it mean to have a successful business to you, right? And type it out into the chat box so that I can see and we can share it with everybody else as well. I'm going to play some music, and in that time, I'll be back in about a minute, and we will go through some of your questions as well. Okay. All right, take another. You should be moving on to your second question now. Last 10 seconds, guys. All right, I'm back. Let's turn off the music. All right, guys. So back to, let me just share my screen again. So back to where we were. Okay, so what does having a successful business mean to you guys? This is, I cannot understate the importance of understanding your strategic objective, because if you get this wrong, everything else is going to be a disaster. Okay, what does a successful business look like to you? Does it mean having lots of money, having profit? Does it mean respect? Does it mean new experiences or very specific experiences? Or does it mean time with your family, with your loved ones, or to do what matters most to you? Right? What is your outcome? So here are the things most other people tell me is that they want more money and they want more time. And so if your outcome is to generate profit, let's just talk about profit, not anything else, right? Let's look at, instead of thinking of what will get you there, let's rule out what won't get you there. Because my experience has been that when people think about the businesses they want to start, they because they don't think of their strategic objective and their outcome, they come up with business models that just won't get them there, right? So let's look at some business models that won't get you there. F&B retail, opening a cafe, opening a restaurant, opening a food stall. Now, to start, just to open, you'll need at between 120 to $150,000, right? And this is a business model that is not going to get you freedom unless you're an investor or unless you understand how to build F&B systems. Why? Because when you start, it's highly likely you're going to be involved in the business. You're going to wake up early to prepare. You're going to have to clean the toilets, going to clean the dish. That's just so much for you to do, and you're not going to get your freedom. More importantly, you're not going to start seeing your profits until much later on. Unless you've got $120,000, $150,000 lying in the bank, this is probably not the best option for you. And even if you did, it's quite likely this is not the best option for you either. How about apparel retail? For me, there's just so much risk in apparel retail, like opening up a boutique. And not only that, it's not very profitable. A friend of mine wanted to start an apparel retail company, and she asked me for my advice. So the only thing I asked her was, how much money do you want to make? And she said, I want to make at least $5,000 a month. Now, how many of you would agree with me that if you own a business, $5,000 a month is not that much, right? But she had two other partners who was with her, and so that's $15,000 a month, right? So the next thing I asked her was, how much profit do you make per unit of sale? So for every garment, I make $10. Like she said 5, but let's just say it's $10. So to make $15,000 profit, you need to sell at least 1,500 units, right? Which is 150 units every 3 days, which is 50 units a day. Now, how would you feel waking up knowing that you needed to move 50 pieces of garments every single day? Stress or not? If you ask me, I'd be very stressed. So I would rule out apparel retail in terms of profit. It will probably not give you the kind of profit you're looking for. Finally, tech. If your objective is to make as much money as possible as in the fastest time possible, then tech is definitely not it. Because first of all, the success rate for tech is 1 in 0.0001%. Only so few actually make that billion-dollar buyout that people are looking for, or in fact, even less. And more importantly, if you're in tech, you're looking at an incubation period of anywhere between 18 months to 3 years, where you wouldn't be making any money, if at all. It's a big gamble, to be honest. And I know this because I was in the tech scene, and we had to pivot so that we were actually more profitable, we made more money, and we had more free time. Does that make sense, guys? What is the number one problem for all businesses, for most businesses, right? And practically all? Sales. And we have to understand that you need to look at things the way that entrepreneurs do, because entrepreneurs look at problems as opportunities. Because if I can find a solution to your problem, then that solution has value. Does that make sense? If you have a $10,000 problem, meaning that you're willing to spend $10,000 to solve that problem, and I solved it for you, I just solved you a $10,000 problem. How much money would you be willing to give me? Well, $10,000, because before I came along, that was a $10,000 pain, and you were willing to solve $10,000 to solve that problem, right? So I'll give you more examples, very real life examples later on, okay? But because that's the biggest opportunity, I need you to understand that this is where you need to focus your attention. Problem solving. If the biggest problem for all businesses is generating a lead or making a sale, all you need to do is learn how to solve that problem, and you will never go hungry again. You'll be able to provide for your children
the kind of lifestyle that you always wanted. And all you need to do is learn a skill or a specific process that will give you that result, right? All you need to do is connect people with a problem to the solution or the product, and that's how you're going to make some money. All right. There's no risk, there's no setup, there's no major investment. You will have skills for a lifetime, and you'll be able to make money from wherever you want. Why? Because whether you're in Abu Dhabi, whether you're in Sao Paulo, whether you're in Washington, D.C., there are always going to be people that there are always going to be businesses that could do with more leads and more sales. For example, if you are right now, how many of you are on this webinar right now and you actually have a business and you would love to have more sales and more leads? Right? Let me know in the comments. And if you, so here's what I want, here's a lesson for you. You need to set aside a specific amount, a very specific amount of money from revenue to put into acquiring a client. And if somebody comes to you and says, I have a lead for you, in fact, I have a sale for you, this guy's ready to buy, how much are you willing to give me for that sale? You know exactly how much you're willing to spend to acquire a customer, right? So that's what I want you guys to know. You have to be willing to spend marketing dollars to get customers, because as long as you spend less than you make, you need to do that over and over and over again, okay? This is the #1 skill that you want to master before starting a business. Why? Because it can be a business in and of itself. And if you have this skill and you start your own business, it's a lot more likely to succeed. Does that make sense, guys? So here's the most effective way to start a business. Take this down. This is super important. Connect people to products that will help them earn I'll say that again. Connect people to products that will help them earn an income. How many of you on the call right now know at least 5 people who would like to make more money? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Okay? So what is a connected business? It's as simple as this. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all these companies are connected businesses. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Google connect audiences with content. It also connects business owners with audiences, right? Amazon connects people with products. Airbnb is the world's largest accommodation provider. They own no apartments. Uber is the world's largest transportation provider, and they don't own any cars, right? That's what a connected business is. All it does is matches markets with a product and receives a percentage. That's what we call clipping the ticket or making a commission. Okay? Here's the thing, guys. There are enough products out there because most businesses are best kept secrets. The reality is this: starting from scratch takes time. It delays the amount of time it takes for you to generate a profit. The next thing is starting from scratch isn't that profitable. Why? Because you actually spend money on creating a product, and at the end of the day, you don't even know if the product will sell or not. Right? This is the same thing that happened to me in my past business. So let me give you an example, guys. A very local example. You know, you have to connect your offer with the people who want it. And so all my friends tell me that I know this place in Singapore that sells the best chili crab. And all my friends tell me that no matter where they go, after they've tried the chili crab that I brought them to, everywhere else is just not as good and not as good. And this includes big brands like No Signboard, Long Beach, Jumbo, and Melbourne. They all say that the place that I bring them to is the best. Now, even though the place that I go to has a superior product, these big brands still charge 2 or 3 times more with an inferior product. Why? Because nobody knows about this other stall. It's got to be my little secret. I don't want it to get too crowded. If enough people know about it, every time I go there, I'm not going to get a seat. I'm going to have to queue up. I'm just going to keep this secret to myself. Now, if you guys want to know where it is, all you need to do is take me out for chili crab. It's pretty easy, simple. So what's the fastest way from A to B, guys? A lot of people will say it's a straight line, but let me ask you, if you are walking through a jungle at night, as in the analogy I gave you earlier, is the fastest way really a straight line? No, it's not. Because if you take a straight line, you could walk into a bear trap, you could walk into a snake pit, you could walk into a hornet's nest. Hell, you could even walk into a tree. So it's not a straight line. But the fastest way from A to B is actually having a mentor that's been to be guide you on the exact way to get there, right? So that's step 2 of the 5-step process to building your first profitable business: finding a mentor. All right, do you guys remember what step 1 is? Let me know in the chat, and we'll see if you're right or not. Okay, step 3, understand your target market. This is so important. Remember I told you that in the beginning, when I started Street Smart University, I wish I knew this, because I was marketing to everybody and I didn't understand my target market. And here's what you need if you want to understand your target market. You need a target market. You need to know what your unique selling proposition is, and you need a high value giveaway. And that's how you become a connector, because when you understand your target market, you understand what your unique selling proposition is, you can package it in a way that appeals to them, and you can give a high value giveaway to generate a lead. Who doesn't like gifts? Well, here's who. If you're giving a gift to somebody who is not in your target market and who doesn't feel the same pain points, they probably wouldn't take your gift. But if you knew exactly who your target market is, and you offered a high value giveaway that solves their problem, then you're able to generate a lead. Does that make sense, guys? Right? So here's what you need to do. The first thing is you need to determine the market. You need to understand who your target avatar is. How you do that is by doing market research. In fact, I have a questionnaire that goes through exactly what you need to learn about your target avatar, so that you'll be able to create a document that will be the foundation and the basis of your entire business, in terms of your communication, in terms of your packaging, in terms of everything. Because when you understand your target avatar, you can build any business, right? The next thing you need to know is you need to find out how reachable they are. Where do they hang out online and offline? What publications do they read? What online publications do they read? What blogs? What sites? Do they go on businessinsider.com, inc.com, huffingtonpost.com? Where do they hang out? So here are the 4 P's that they taught us in business school, which was utter rubbish, right? Product, price, place, and promotion. I went to business school and I never used this a single time to generate a lead or to make money. But here are the 4 P's I'm going to teach you that's actually going to make you money. Take a pen and paper and write this down. And you need to understand this, because once you understand this, you'll be able to generate leads for anybody. The first thing you need to do is you need to understand your target, the persona of your target avatar. All right, and this includes understanding their fears, their frustrations, their aspirations, their needs, and their wants. Understanding the transformation they want to go through, understanding what their self-identity is, and also defining what their demographic is. The next thing you need to do is you'll need to understand the pain that they are feeling. Why? Because humans are motivated to act based on 2 things: either the pursuit of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. And if you can show them, if you can make the pain that they feel or they will feel in the future real right now, they will act. Okay? The next thing you need to know is what pond you can find these fish in, so to speak. Right? So what publications, where do they hang out online and offline? Finally, you need to have a hook, the pull, right? And this normally is something that you can give away for free, like an educational talk, like a video, like a high value giveaway that people would be happy to just take the next step because they see the value in it. In persona, pond, pull, right? Step number 4, you need to find a product. Remember, I told you, don't build a product, find a product. How do you do that? You need to find a product that is already selling well, or is endorsed by somebody well known, how many of you would agree that it would be easier to sell full football boots endorsed by Cristiano Ronaldo than football boots that are not endorsed by Cristiano Ronaldo at all, and not endorsed by anybody? Of course, it would be easier to sell something that's endorsed by somebody well known, right? So here's how to choose a product, guys. Take this down. This is super important if you actually want to build a profitable business. You need to be able to track the sales that originate from you and that you generate. Okay, there has to be a system that tracks it. Your product must be endorsed by an authority, or somebody that is well known, somebody that is considered an authority in their field. In fact, in my program, when I teach people how to build a connector business, I also offer them products that they could actually sell that are endorsed by somebody who, like probably the most well-known person in that field. Right? It has to be high converting. For years, I tried to broker cold deals, and I had buyers, I had sellers, but I was never able to convert them. Right? You want to find something that when you generate a lead, it can be easily converted. Finally, it needs to be highly profitable. Right? I don't want to be connecting to $3 chicken rice, because if I wanted to make $10,000, I need to sell 3,000 $3 chicken rices, and it will still not be enough. It's only $9,000, right? And then the profits will probably, let's say, be half of that. I would only be making $4,500. So if I wanted to make $10,000, I need to sell 6,000 odd packets of chicken rice. So that's not, for me, that just doesn't work. I would prefer to sell something that's high ticket and highly profitable. It also has to solve a problem. Okay. Number 5, you need to assemble a team. A team. This is super important. This is really important because the biggest mistake that most entrepreneurs make in building a business is this. They create that there's a product and 100% of the revenue comes in, and what they want to do is they want to do as much as possible to take the biggest proportion of that revenue as possible. I realize that this is really that's very ego driven, because they want to have more of a proportion than anybody else. But the truth is, I don't mind taking a smaller proportion, but doing a lot less as well. So for example, I have somebody in the team that has a product that is top quality and already endorsed by somebody, and all he wants in order for us to sell his product, all he wants is 20%. Right? And then I have somebody else who builds online marketing architecture, and all he wants to do is he just builds the online marketing architecture and you can use it. And all he asks for is 20%. Right? And then I have somebody else who builds the e-commerce architecture, and he also delivers the product, right? So that you don't have to do any of that. And he takes 30%. So far, 70% of the revenue is already taken, right? And there's another 30%. And this 30% is saved for client acquisition. So if all I do was bring in a new client and I only make 30%, I'm happy with that, because the marketing infrastructure is already built. All I need to do is generate a lead, create awareness, and I make 30% of the revenue. Does that make sense? So I don't need 50%. I don't need 60 or 70%. All I need is 30%, and focusing on what I can do easily. I promise you, you will make more money focusing on getting more of that, more 30%, than getting a bigger proportion of 100%. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, because together everyone achieves more. The guy who's created the product, he's already done his job, and he did a fantastic job. And when you allow him just to be the product creator, he can then go on and make more high quality products for you to market. Does that make sense? And then the guy who does the marketing architecture, he does such a great job at that it makes it easier for you to market. It makes it easier for you to make a sale. So as long as you focus on that 30%, you'll actually be a lot more productive, and you'll make a lot more profits than if you tried to do everything. Okay? So Today, we have a connector business that made us over $500,000 just connecting. My entire business is built on me connecting people to Chris, connecting people to other coaches, connecting people to events. It's just $500,000 all by connecting. I didn't create a new product. In fact, the product that I created tanked, so I couldn't make money from it. I didn't even create a product and we made over $500,000 because our mission at Sri Strong University is we love to connect people who love making a difference, right? And the best thing about a connector business is this: it's a system that makes money. And if I gave you this system, if I showed you exactly what to do for 6 months, how many of you would follow everything I say? Guys, this is extremely important because I'm going to share with you something that helps my company make money. And if you're not responsive at this point, I might as well not share it. So let me know. How many of you, if I gave you this system, and I showed you exactly what to do for 6 months, would follow everything I said? Okay, moving on. Right. The best thing about a connector business is this: as long as your acquisition cost is less than your profit per client, you have an automated money stream. It's really not difficult, guys. It's really not difficult. Let me give you an example. We created a product was created, and it costs about $1,500 just to acquire the product, just to acquire the rights to distribute the product. And my job is to find other distributors. But so what I did was I created margin so that I could actually spend money to acquire a client and still stay profitable. Does that make sense? So if I found the client myself, I would earn that amount, say $400 for every client that I brought in, over and above any profits I would make from selling a product. But if somebody came to me and said, hey, I've got a client for you, he's ready to buy. Once that person buys, I'm happy to give the $400 to the person that brought me the client, and I would still be profitable. How many times would I give $400 away? I would give $400 away as many times as possible, because even me giving away $400, I would still continue making profits. Does that make sense? And I wouldn't have to work to bring in that client. So you must have automated promotion that pulls you. If you want a profitable business, you must have automated marketing that's online that pulls customers to you. It's easy as ABC. The first thing you need to build attention. Right? That's why you see my Facebook Lives. You see, I'm building attention. The next thing you need to do is you need to give people bait. Give them something that they feel is valuable. And finally, you need to give people clarity. Because if a confused mind doesn't act, and if you give them clarity, they will be ready to act. Let's talk about automated marketing for a while. You need to think like a fisherman, right? The first thing you need to do is you need to know the fish. And that's why we make sure that anybody who joins my program, I teach them how to profile their customer, how to build a target avatar so they know exactly what to say to attract the right customers. So to build an automated marketing system is you need to choose the pond. Right? I'll give you a good example. A lot of the people that I target right now, they use a program called uTorrent to download their torrents. And what I realize is if I put my advertising there, my advertising costs go down because that's exactly who I'm targeting. Does that make sense, guys? All right. The next thing that you need is a big piece, a high quality giveaway so that people are attracted to you. And then you need to give them the hook, meaning that if they want your high quality giveaway, they want your bait that's on your hook, they need to give you something, which is their name, their email address, and their phone number. Okay. Finally, you reel them in with education. How many of you would agree that everything I shared with you today has been educational, has actually given you more information so you can you can make an informed decision about how to build your next profitable business, right? And finally, you need to capture the fish, get the sale. Okay, so here's what I want to do for all of you who are still on. I want to give you some free marketing channels that I use myself to generate a ton of profit, right? You can see that I use Facebook a lot. Another channel that we use that's free is meetup.com, and meetup.com is fantastic. The conversions that we get on Meetup in terms of people actually coming to the events, people actually converting into clients has been phenomenal. Twitter, go to networking program, networking events. You can also advertise on Instagram, or you can just post on Instagram. You can use LinkedIn, articles, blogs, and podcasts. It's very easy to get in the media as long as you know what to do, right? All you need to do is ask, because they're looking for stories as much as you're looking to get published. So if you can create a story that's in line with their with the publication's strategic objective, they'd be happy to publish you. Okay. So sorry, that's for attention. So finally, for bait, you need to have a high value giveaway that gets people excited about the idea and happy to take the next step. And you need to give people clarity. You must educate them so they can make informed decisions. So here's what it's like being a connector. If it's good enough for Amazon, Google, and Facebook, is it good enough for you? So at this point, I'm pretty much done with all the educational content right now, and I want to let you know that the minimum time needed to create change is 6 months. And if you're able to consistently put in the work, if you're able to consistently take action, you will be able to build your first profitable business within 6 months, right? What I do is I actually teach people how to generate $2,000 within their first, at least $2,000 within their first month in business. And if they actually did what I told them to do, it would be no problem for them to make anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 within their first month in business. How many of you think that getting a profit of, let's be conservative, how many of you would agree that getting a profit of $2,000 in your first ever business within the first 30 days of you starting business is a pretty good result? Right? So would it be okay if I shared with you a little bit about what I do here? Right? Here's what I do right now. If you're on the call, you'll notice that I made reference to some of the things that I did with my clients. And what I do for my clients is I teach them and I show them exactly what they need to do to build their first profitable business. It's a connector business. You don't create a product, you sell somebody else's product, but it's far more profitable than creating a product by yourself. In fact, the people that join my program, what I do is I take them through simple business models first, and teach them how to execute specific parts of a business model, the most valuable parts, so that they can actually generate a profit. Once they're able to do that on a consistent basis, I expose them to even more profitable business models that they can then execute, because they have already been able to execute simple business models. The more complex business models are also more risky, but the fact that they've already executed basic business models, it removes that initial risk as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you are thinking of starting your own business, and you've watched this far, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you a consultation, and I'd also like to see if you are appropriate, if you are the right fit to be one of my students. I typically help business people who are earning anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 triple, or get to about $500,000 to $750,000. $500,000 to $750,000. But if you're just starting your own business, I also have a program for you that will get you building your first profitable business. The truth is, I don't have a lot of time on my hands for this, and I really only want to take in 5 people. And of these 5 people, what I will do is I will actually teach them how to build their business. I have a high rate of success, so I'm very selective. I'm very particular about the people I work with. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you think that you'd like to start your first profitable business, go to this website. Go to tinyurl.com/chat with Faz, and I will give you free 10-minute consultation where I understand what your circumstances and I see whether or not you're ready for business. If you are, I will share with you how I can help you do that. And if I can't help you do that, I will refer you to somebody who could. Does that sound good? So that's all from me today. Book those calls with me within the next 24 hours because my slots fill in fast. And for those of you who are on this video, I'm only giving you 24 hours to book the call, right? So I look forward to having that chat with you. Take care, and I will see all of you soon.